A little bit of crazy, but a whole lot of right. You're listening to the Average Joe Podcast with Damon Gilbert.
Hey, everybody. How we doing today? Pull up a chair. We got a lot to talk about. It's been a big week. Big week. Oh, my God. Things that are happening. It's left and right, and it's hotter than hell here in the Midwest. I think it's going to be 95 today here in the Midwest. And it's funny because if you watch any of these, and I haven't watched any, I'm not a big soccer fan, as you well know. But if you watch any of these people who are here to see the World Cup, they can't believe we got air conditioning everywhere. Is that not unbelievable? I have seen some of these videos of people are just blown away by what the United States and America has to offer. They had no idea. And it warms my heart to see these things. It really does. Again, no soccer fan, but it's great that these people are coming over. They're going to be able to share it with their friends. This stuff is becoming viral online of how much they are surprised and how amazed they are by what we have in the United States. It can be the food, it can be the architecture, it can be the safeness. I saw a guy walking down a park the other day. He was from South Africa. He said, "I can't believe this. I can't believe you can walk down a park like this and you're not surrounded by people, first of all, and you're not in danger." He couldn't believe it. I saw a guy eating ribs. They can't. Here's the one that really kills me, is the fact that they can't get over the fact that restaurants offer free refills on soda. And I've seen that theme more than once. They can't believe it. They're like, "What is this? I can drink this whole thing and I get another one?" Yes, you do. That's America. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, pretty cool. I got one thing I want to ask you before we get started into this, because we got a lot to talk about. Have you ever used the AI chat side of a website? I mean, instead of customer service, back when I was a kid, or even a young adult. And I know I was born before electricity, if you ask my grandkids, but you used to be able to call a number and talk to customer service, and they could help you through your problem with a service or a product or whatever. Maybe some instruction on how to assemble it, whatever. It doesn't matter. That doesn't exist anymore. We all know that. Have you ever used one of these? The chat? I thought, I'll do this. So it had to do with a game that my grandson had bought. We needed to insure the hardware. Okay. Pretty simple. $30. We're going to insure it for 2 years. So I get online, I go through the whole mess, you got to, and they never make it easy. They send you, I don't know if you've ever seen, and you probably have, if you've bought anything in the last, especially electronics, because they all come from China. But if you notice, and I think I've got it here. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Look at this. Hit something. This is a Meta Quest 3 owner's manual. Okay. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Meta Quest 3, but it is a VR situation. Pretty sophisticated. My grandson loves it. And the old one broke. And I thought, he graduated high school. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But here's the funny part. You remember when we were kids, we used to we'd get a manual. It looked something like this. That big. Not that necessarily, but I mean, it was huge. You go through it, had page after page. You know what you get now? You get this. This little bitty. I mean, I can't even describe how hard it would be to read this. So what you do is you can scan the back of it, the barcode, or no, the what do you call it? QR code, which are a pain in the ass, by the way. Okay, they're not helpful at all. It doesn't matter who you're talking to or when you're talking to them. QR codes, all it is to distract you and get you off, because nobody wants to talk to anybody anymore. Customer service is gone. I got on this, went through there. It would not take my money to insure this thing. It said it hadn't been fired up yet, and my grandson been playing it for 24 hours. But then as I asked questions of an AI, it wasn't a real person. I mean, it'd be one thing if you're talking to a human on this, okay? But you're talking to an AI entity. You're not talking to a real human. You all know this. I mean, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm not trying to insult you by, repeating stuff like this, talking like this, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You're on there, you're typing in, hey, I need to know how to do this. And they'll give you 8 or 10 paragraphs. And what it is, it's circular logic. They'll send you back. I went back to the same place 5 or 6 times. Every time I'd ask a question, oh, you need to reference this. And it would start from the very beginning of where I was just a minute ago. And I don't know about you, but have you ever gone to the frequently asked questions on a website? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've ever had that help you at any level. It isn't. It doesn't. It's stupid. Customer service, once you buy something, you're on your own. It's kind of like if you were if there was a an emergency or a natural disaster in your area. For instance, looking down in Venezuela, they had the earthquake down there. Devastating earthquake, 2 of them back to back. I think one was 7.5 and one was 7.2. Absolutely leveled parts of the city. It's terrible, terrible. Probably going to be deaths in the tens of thousands, if not more. And a lot of the people who lived are complaining because the government hasn't stepped up. Believe me, folks, you're on your own. Doesn't matter where you're at, you are on your own. What they will do is they will send somebody in and they'll make a video showing that they helped one particular area, and that will be their answer to the entire problem. That's the way it works. But anyway, back to what I was saying. No one's coming to help you. I think that's the when you buy something, you're pretty much on your own. If you find a company that has any kind of customer service by phone, or at the very least has chat with a human being behind it, you're 100% ahead of everybody else. Stick with that company. Stick with that company. Be loyal to that company because it doesn't exist. Facebook's horrible, okay, at every level. It really, truly is. Facebook is horrible. Anything associated with Facebook, I'm not a Zuckerberg fan. I think it's a joke. I really do. So, and they make everything so complicated you can't figure it out. You got to bring in a 12-year-old to figure it out. But anyway, the point is, and I don't want to go on this for very long because, like I said, we got a lot to talk about today. But I was so disappointed, and I still am. And it's the way of the world. It's the way of the world. I think they're going to get away from that, though. I think they're going to find out. I think companies are going to find out that AI does not work in a situation where you have to talk to a human one-on-one. I don't think that's going to work. They haven't gotten there yet. And even if they do get there, there's no empathy, there's no understanding, there's no nuance. They have no idea. It's either black or white. So, I get on there and I say, I want this. And they say, well, here's where you need to go. And if I say, well, that doesn't help me, they say, well, that's too bad. You still got to go there because that's the only answer I've got. Yeah. And I was not nice. I mean, I kept asking questions and invoking them to explain themselves. And they kept apologizing because we understand your frustration. Well, yeah, no, you don't. No, you don't, because you're AI. How the hell could you possibly understand my frustration? So anyway, I just wanted to know, and I'm sure the rest of you have experienced this. It's very frustrating. Now, what I want to talk about today, starting out, is I don't know if you've seen the opening, and I'm a little late on this because this happened in, I guess, the latter part of last week or over the weekend, was the opening of the Obama Museum in Chicago. Okay, now I'm gonna put a picture of it up here. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure. Now, and by the way, this isn't even the library. This is more or less, they said, the people that have visited, it's really not a library. And I think it cost $870 million. It was some outrageous amount of money. It's not even the library. That's coming later. This is just kind of a monument to Obama himself. They say that there's places where you can go, you can hear his speeches, you see things that he may have said. It's nothing. It's nothing. And it costs you to get in. And it's in this terrible part of Chicago. It's and it's one of the most ugly buildings I've ever seen. This looks like something. It looks like a drunk guy tried to put Lego set together. It's unbelievably stupid looking. And it cost almost $1 billion. And they stole most of the money. We'll get into that in just a second. But is this not ugly? The ugliest thing you've ever seen? Now I want to say something. Now, Barack Obama was a socialist. There's no doubt about it. His belief system was, and first of all, he's never had a job in his a real job in his life. He is a Manchurian candidate. There's no way to get around this. If you look at the history and the movie and the novel of the Manchurian Candidate, this guy is absolutely a poster child for that. He really is. He came from nowhere. No one knows anything about him. Where did this man come from? He's got a fake birth certificate. They've pretty much proven that. And you know, I know you can go online and people say that's not true. It technically really is. If you look, people who looked at that, who knew what they were doing, knew that it had been manipulated. They could see the layers on how they change it, all that. Not only that, but he has a social security number of a dead guy in Connecticut. This guy is made up. His Michelle's a dude. I don't care what anybody says. Those two children, they were either adopted. I mean, I think I know who the parents are. I can show you a picture right now, but that's beside the point. We're getting off the subject, and I apologize for that. But the point is, this guy is not what you think he is. He is a fake, and he's been a fake from the get-go. Now, I will say, I fell for it. I fell for the con. I did the first time. Yeah, I wanted to vote for him because I wanted to prove to myself and to everybody else that I wasn't a racist. And then 4 years later, I didn't vote for him because I wanted to prove I wasn't an idiot. Okay, because nothing he said came true. It was terrible. It was a terrible 8 years in the United States. But look at this building. Getting back to the building, and it is a con job. Don't let anybody kid you. I don't know who designed this, but I want you to look real carefully at this cube up at the top. Who does that? Who does that? Now, mind you, he is a communist. I mean, he is a socialist. I'm sorry. He's a socialist. He wants everything to be the same, everybody to be equal. Okay? That's the way socialism works. If I make $1,000 and my buddy, he only made 100, well, then he gets 800 of mine, so we can both have $900 or some math like that. In other words, there's no reason to do better because we all need to have the same thing. It's kind of a collective. It's basically communism. Communism is similar to that as well. Everybody has a job, and we all do it for the good of the nation, or the leader, or our philosophy, right? Okay. Well, look at this square up here. Interesting, isn't it? I can't read it. I guess I could sit down and try to read it. But does it have kind of is it familiar to this? Okay. Do you know what you're looking at there? And I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan or not. Doesn't matter. The point is this is a picture of the spaceship. Now, this is in Star Trek: The Next Generation. This was an adversary. This was an alien existence that it was the bad guy in the movie. Okay, and it was called the Borg. Okay, and they looked like this, and their job in this show was to work for the collective. That's it. Didn't matter if one of them got killed. It was all for the collective. It was all for the Borg, not people individually. It was one group. That's what they did. And I just think it's interesting. If you look at this, you see some similarities to that. I pointed that out to somebody the other day, and they couldn't believe it. They said, "You know what? You're right. It is. Are they sending us a message? Is that what this is about? Is that why you would put something so god awful ugly in the middle of Chicago, pretty much the bastion of, you know, the liberals? You don't get much more liberal than Chicago or New York or, San Francisco. So are they sending a message, a subliminal message that we are here for the collective? We are here for the good of everyone, and everything should be equal. I think they are. I noticed that the other night. I couldn't believe it. I said, that looks just like the Borg. And like I said, unless you're a Star Trek fan, you'd have to look this up. You'd have to reference it that way. But this is the guy right here. Remember this? Hope and change. Hope and change. That's all he talked about. He never said a word. He never said anything about policy. He never said how he was going to do it. He just used the words hope and change. Okay? Supposed to be the hero of the black community, right? The black community. He was there for the downtrodden. He was there for the blue collar guy, the middle class, right? Was he really, though? Was he really? Because now he's worth, $80 million, $100 million. This guy never had a job in his whole life. He was a community organizer, went to Harvard. Of course, nobody can remember ever seeing him at Harvard. Don't you think that's odd? That's an interesting thing. Don't you think it's odd that none of his instructors that he was supposed to have been in school taking these classes ever remembers him? Isn't that odd? And by the way, just as an aside, who are his girlfriends? Nobody mentions that. He says he dated. Okay. You ever talked to one of them? I've never heard of anybody that had anything to do or ever knew that this guy was ever at Harvard. And he's supposed to be this constitutional lawyer, constitutional expert. Yeah. This is the guy right here. This is the guy. You know that wave and that grin. I mean, it's obscene. I can't. This guy. You talk about somebody that was well, Trojan horse is what I'd call it. We fell for it. We really did. Now, the moral of the story, what I'm getting to is, he's supposed to be a man of the people, right? A guy who is fighting the good fight for the downtrodden, the people in the lower, parts of society, the working man. That's what he told us, right? He's looking out for that guy. Well, listen to this. Now, because I'm going to play a little clip here. No one knows about this. There are very few people who know about this. The news is not touching this at all. They don't want anything to do with this. Nothing to do with it. They want to stay as far away from this as they can. This guy and his group that built this building, which was late, it took forever to do, way behind schedule, way over budget. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And oh shoot, hang on just a second here. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I just had a call from a very good friend of mine. And we just spent the last, how long was I on the phone? I love this because you can do this and get away with it. Let's see. How long was I on that call? I was on that call for 18 minutes. So we're back now. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah, that's right. Barack Obama is a Manchurian candidate. I know that's not news to a lot of you, but this whole thing with this library is unbelievable. Now, again, like I was saying before the phone rang, he has always tried to portray himself, and his people have always tried to portray him as a man of the working guy, right? Okay. Well, apparently the man of the working guy has stiffed the working guy at levels you can't even imagine. These contractors who helped build this are not being paid. They took the money, all the donations, and apparently they just kept it, which I think is absolutely unbelievable. And on top of everything else, get this. This is the beauty of the con, okay? They not only took their money. Now, these are a lot of these, I guess the vast majority of these are black contractors too. So he picked, black engineers, black plumbers, black, everything, minorities to do his work for him, to do his bidding, to build this monstrosity he calls his building. The library, which it's not, but this guy, this guy not only took the money from people who donated and kept it, but he's also not paying the people who built it. Listen to this. You're not going to believe this. Listen.
Why are they not getting paid? In what sense is celebrating Juneteenth if our black contractors are not getting their money? I never seen this happen since I've been in business. Even when I worked with the Chicago Urban League, so many of our black contractors are complaining about they have not got their money. But the other side of it, a lot of the black community and the newspapers do not know that these people have not been paid. Yeah, we met with them on several terms, but that's when they told us they had to stop conversation about it because they all signed a non-disclosure. Not only they're going to be at financial risk, they are going to not be able to work on other major projects. I would like to know why they're not getting paid.
Now, not the most articulate guy in the world. I'll give him that. But at least he had the balls to come out and say it. Not only did they take the money from the black community and black donations and supporters around the country to build this monstrosity, they stiffed the contractors. And not only that, but this is brilliant. They had them sign non-disclosure agreements when they took the work, when they agreed to do the work. So not only do I not get paid, I can't even bitch about it to anybody. Is that not brilliant? You got to hand it to this guy and his group. This is fantastic. Going and doing a job for this guy would be like working for your loser brother-in-law, knowing you're never going to get paid. The work's he's going to figure out a way to stiff you. This is unbelievable. And the media doesn't know about this because, probably under threat of being sued, these contractors are never going to say anything. And they're going to go out of business. You can't take it through. I don't care if you're a small contractor and you did a job and you've got $3 million in debt for materials you purchased, you're not going to survive that. You can't survive that kind of a hit. It's impossible. It's impossible. You got to be really big to take a $3 million hit. Now, what's going to happen to these people? Are they going to vote Republican next time because they got screwed by their hero? I doubt it. There's certain things you can't change in the world. This is one of them. They're going to do that no matter what. They're going to stick with him. That's what they're going to do. I don't get it, but I'm glad somebody's coming forward. I didn't know if you knew this or not, but the guy who represented Hope and Change stiffed his contractors on this building. Unbelievable. And I guarantee you most of that money went in his pocket. Guarantee it. Where else did it go? It's a con. Plain and simple. This guy's a Manchurian candidate. This is a con. It's been from the get-go. So, what did I want to talk about? Oh, yeah. I wanted to talk to you about the Supreme Court's decision. Now, mind you, the Supreme Court, a lot of rulings usually come out at the end of June, 1st of July, because their session ends, and then it starts up 1st of October. So we've got what you would think would be considered a conservative court at the present time, right? We thought it was. 6-3. You got Sotomayor, you got Kagan, and you got this Brown. Okay, they're the three. No matter what it is, it could be microwaving kittens, and we're for it if the conservatives are against it. So that's the way it works. You've got 6-3. You thought you were safe doing that because this Barrett, I guess she's I'm trying to think if she is the one that replaced Scalia. I don't know. I don't think she is, but she was considered to be a Scalia type of a judge. Well, it turns out that's not the case, because when it came to immigration and citizenship based on birthright in the United States, the Supreme Court ruled against Donald Trump on this, and you're probably aware of that. Barrett was very instrumental in this, and her and Roberts both. Roberts, you can kind of write off. He's a traitor if there ever was one. Never cared for him since he got that job. But I thought Barrett was on the up and up. I thought when Trump, nominated her, she's Catholic, she's conservative. I go down the list. Well, then you find out that's not exactly the case. Okay. She's more of a neoconservative, which is code for we don't really like the liberals, but we like the money that comes in. That's kind of the way it works. So we side with them more often than we don't. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I see it. And in this case, she did. She sided with the left on this. Now, what's that mean? That means that if you are an illegal woman who enters the United States, you're pregnant, say you're 8 months pregnant, you find a way across the border, or you visit here from another country, you've got a visitor's visa, a tourist visa, whatever. You show up over in the United States, you pop that kid out, that kid's an American now. And that kid comes with all the benefits to you of him being an American. Because what happens many times is when a let's say a Mexican, back during the Biden administration, finds their way across the border, has a baby here in the United States, suddenly he or she is a American citizen, and you have rights because your kid is an American. And then suddenly, not only do you have rights, your entire family does. So naturally, what'll happen is all the family shows up because of this anchor baby. That's what this is all about. Trump wanted to stop that. He said there's no way that this is real, that this should be true. And I got to tell you, folks, he's got a point, because I want to show you something here. This is let's see. Let's see if I can get this up on here. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I pay for ChatGPT. Okay. It's $20 a month, something like that. It's a great source. It really is. I will say this. You can tell by the answers it gives. It's a little bit left leaning, which is fine. I mean, you can look through you can find your way through there, but they don't like you. There are differences in this AI. Some of them don't like you being mean. They don't like the questions you ask. They don't like the way you phrase them. ChatGPT is in that category. It will not do certain things it feels is inappropriate. So that's fine. But I did ask it. I asked it, what is the purpose of the 14th Amendment? Okay. Simple question. Because really, honestly, I didn't know that all the integral aspects of this. I knew it was actually an amendment that came to pass in, I believe it was 1860s. What is it? Yeah, 1866. And it really did have to do with the slaves in the United States. And I'm going to read this for you because it's very interesting how this worked out. Bottom line, The Supreme Court got this 100% wrong. 100% wrong. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. It says the 14th Amendment was necessary because the Civil War ended slavery, but it did not settle the legal status of formerly enslaved people or stop Southern states from trying to recreate slavery in another form. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in 1865, but after the war, many former Confederate states passed black codes. These laws restricted the freedom of freedmen, limiting where they could work, how they could travel, whether they could own property, and how they could use the courts. Okay? So in plain English, Southern states were trying to say, fine, slavery is illegal, but we still control these people as much as possible. Okay. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, okay, it was ratified in 1868, was designed to stop that. Its main purpose was to define citizenship clearly. It says before the 14th Amendment, there was a major legal question where former enslaved people, citizens of the, were formerly enslaved people, citizens of the United States. The Supreme Court's infamous Dred Scott decision in 1857 had said that black people could not be citizens. The 14th Amendment destroyed that idea, but declaring that anyone born or naturalized in the United States is, in fact, a citizen, and to make states respect basic rights. The amendment says states cannot deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That's fine. To require equal protection under the law, to limit the political power of former Confederate states. Now, that's an interesting point because the amendment also addresses representation in Congress and punished states that denied voting rights to eligible male citizens by reducing their representation. This was aimed at preventing Southern states from regaining political control while denying freedmen basic rights. So it also was to keep former Confederate leaders from quickly returning to power. Okay, so basically what happened here is this was about the Civil War and the slavery trade. Okay, that's it. That was the only thing this was about. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah. So hang on just a second. I gotta be right back. Okay, I had another distraction. Sorry about that. It's a nice thing about these podcasts. You can stop and start whenever you feel like it. But anyway, back to what I was saying about the 14th Amendment. It was about slavery. It was about these slaves that had been brought over against their will, okay, who had reproduced, had children. Are they citizens? Yes, they are. That was what the 14th Amendment was about, okay? Now, a guy named Howard, he was a senator in 1864. He was the one that brought the 14th Amendment to the Senate floor, okay? And he wrote an article about the 14th Amendment. I'm going to show you here in just a second here. I want you to see this. And it says, Mr. Howard says, I now move to take up House Joint Resolution number 127. Okay. It says the First Amendment is to Section 1, declaring that all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. It says, I do not propose to say anything on the subject except that the question of citizenship has been so fully discussed in this body as to not need any further discussion. Okay. It says, this amendment, which I offer, is simply declaratory of what I regard as the law of the land already, that every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a citizen of the United States. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Now that basically is saying exactly what the Supreme Court ruled. But here's the caveat. Listen to this. He also wrote, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States. but will include every other class of persons. It settles the great question of citizenship and removes all doubt as to what persons are or are not citizens of the United States. This has long been a great problem in the jurisprudence and legislation of this country. So what he's saying here is, in my opinion, now I'm no legal scholar by any stretch of the imagination, but something that took place in the 19th century, right post Civil War, has nothing to do with a Mexican coming across illegally across the border in the 21st century. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I want to know. What do you think? Do you believe that the 14th Amendment should represent and have anything to do with people who broke the law to get here? Because you got to remember, the blacks during the Civil War and during slavery in the United States, they didn't break the law coming here. They were brought here. They were forced to come here. That's different than sneaking your way across the Rio Grande. Am I wrong? I think the Supreme Court got this 100% incorrect. I think that the left got to Amy Coney Barrett, or whatever the hell her name is. I think they got to Justice Roberts, and they got this passed. The only remedy to this is to stop immigration at every level. Reset this whole thing. No student visas, no H-1Bs, nothing. No tourism, nothing. Do not let these people here, and hunt down the ones that are here illegally. And I know I know ICE is under fire, all that. But I'm telling you, folks, here's what's going on. And I want you to understand this, because it's something, if you don't think of it in these terms, it's really hard to understand sometimes. The United States is a country that's cannot be invaded, okay, by regular conventional terms, okay. I mean, like in Germany, when Germany invaded Poland, I mean, they were right next door. I mean, that wasn't too tough, to invade country. And basically, Germany almost took over, the vast majority of Europe. Why? Because they could drive there. It was close. It was next door. Why do you think Russia invaded Ukraine? Because it was next door. That's easy. Imagine Russia trying to invade the United States. It can't be done. You've got neighbors to the north, friends. Yeah, I know Canada, we don't always get along, but at the end of the day, we're still allies. And we protect them. And, it's pretty hard to go through Canada to get to the United States. And then in the south, you've got Mexico, another ally. I know, again, we've got our same problems, but invasion is completely different than not agreeing with some kind of trade issue. That's completely different. And then what do you got on the east and west? You've got huge oceans. Logistically, it's impossible to invade the United States by conventional means. It can't be done. Other than a nuclear attack. And they're not going to do that because they want the resources at the end of the day. If you were going to be invaded by, say, China or Russia, they're not here to blow everything up. They want what we have. They're not going to do that. So the only way they can do it, the only way you can invade a country like this, a country like the United States, is to do it from within. A Trojan horse. And illegal immigration is the perfect example of a Trojan horse. This is an invasion we're facing right now. It really is. There's no other way to look at this. This is an invasion of the United States by foreign entities. And we don't even know who they are for sure. Do we think it's communism? I think it is. I think that at the end of the day, that's who it is. And I'm not talking about China in particularly. I'm talking about the New World Order. They want to invade the United States. They want to change it. They want to possess it. And the only way they can do that is to invade it. And the only way they can invade is to have these people come in Muslims especially. Muslims are the next one on the list. They tried to control things with the blacks. That's fallen apart. They tried to control it with an invasion from the south. That's not working out real well. Muslims are next. Muslims have a theocracy and a belief system that works right into their it's in their wheelhouse, because Islam's basic belief system is, if you don't believe the way I do, you should be killed. So we're going to let all these people come in, and they're going to become the majority in the country. They've actually said that. I've seen interviews with Muslim men, clerics and all that. That's their goal. They'll tell you right up front. That's what we're here for. We're here to come over here, replace you. We're having more children than you are. We're going to eventually take over. That's what this is all about. We're being invaded. And one of our last protections was to make sure that this citizenship by birth was not something that could take place. And the Supreme Court screwed us. They did. They screwed me, they screwed you, and they screwed everybody you know. Whether you agree with this decision or not, at the end of the day, you're getting screwed by these people. The Supreme Court screwed us over. Yeah. Terrible decision. Terrible decision. This had nothing to do with 21st century. This had to do with 19th century stuff. It still does. That 14th Amendment shouldn't even exist, in my opinion. It should be erased. What do we got this here for? This is about the Civil War. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense for someone to come over here who's pregnant and have a child in the United States, and suddenly that's an American. That doesn't work the other way. If a woman went to France and had a baby in France, you think that's going to be she's going to have French descent? I mean, French citizenship? Of course not. No one else does this way. This was done specifically for the slaves that were in the United States at the time of the end of the Civil War. So that's all this was about. I got to tell you, folks, this is a sad day. Now, what happened? The Supreme Court, they gave us they did rule in favor of Donald Trump's, I believe, his executive order that, I think it was, but it doesn't matter. But the point is that men cannot play in women's sports now. They ruled on that. They said, no, that's no good. But come on, folks. That was just common sense. Of course, that shouldn't have happened. Yeah. The Supreme Court gave us one. Well, we're going to rule against these, but we're going to give them this one. This one's an easy one. Yeah, no shit. It's not. It's an easy one. Yeah. Yeah. Men should not play in women's sports. Duh. I've known that since I was 4 years old. It makes no sense. So they gave us that one. We did get that. Now, what is my answer to this? And I think it's exactly the way you do this. You stop immigration at a level, and you make it Donald Trump can fix this tomorrow. All he's got to do is say, hey, and he has the ability to do this, to keep certain people out of the United States. He's done it before. He'll do it again, I think. And that means they're going to have to put it in writing. If you come to the United States and you apply for a visa and you are either pregnant or possibly pregnant, you are not allowed into the country. It's the best way to do it. Stop it now. Illegal immigration has been stopped in the southern border. There have been no illegal crossings that I'm aware of. ICE has got that pretty well locked up. And even if a few do get through, it's not as bad as when the Biden administration opened the borders and just let the people pour in. Now, are we going to have to contend with children that are born in the United States that were part of that group that came across illegally? Yes, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to figure that out. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. That can be solved. That can be solved. But this was a major blow, as far as I'm concerned, to make America great again, because you were allowing people to come in and use and basically use the system. That's what it is. And the Supreme Court, because of Barrett and Roberts, decided to say that was okay. Traitors is what I call them. Traitors. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. One other thing I did want to talk about right quick is one issue that happened here in St. Louis. It was a shooting that took place here in St. Louis. A Baldwin public worker employee charged in fatal road rage shooting on I-64 exit in O'Fallon, Missouri. His name is Robert Ferrick. He's been charged with a fatal shooting on June 30th in O'Fallon, Missouri. Baldwin confirmed Ferrick is a public works superintendent who is on leave. Okay, here's the deal. And I got to tell you, I have read some of the comments on this. This is all over Facebook. People are going absolutely insane over this. And we've got a lot of experts on Facebook. I want to make sure you're aware of that. I didn't know if you were aware of that or not, but there's a lot of experts in the field of road rage and psychological disability, people who just look weird and that kind of thing. They absolutely have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Okay. Now, from what I can gather at this point, again, I'm not going to, let's see here. A man has been charged in Tuesday's fatal shooting on an exit ramp on Interstate 64 in O'Fallon. I think it was at the Wing Haven exit, which is a mess, I have to admit. I've been up there. The shooting happened around 4 p.m. on westbound exit to Wing Haven Boulevard from I-64. O'Fallon Police Department Public Information Officer Carolyn Hecker told First Alert 4 that the man who was shot was identified as Luke Joseph Sherman. He was 35. Okay. And the guy who shot him was 48. From what I understand, now this is all preliminary, so I might be completely wrong on this, but apparently this guy, the guy you see in the picture here, he rear-ended this other guy who's 35. Now, the guy who's 35 apparently has a history of rage. Okay. Some people went on CaseNet, found out he's got a ton of stuff pending or in the past, and a lot of it has to do with him losing his mind. I don't know all the particulars. Apparently, this guy, this O'Fallon man, who's in the picture here, he's got absolutely no record. Now, from what I understand, well, let's see. Let's go to the Facebook thing. Yeah, here he is. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Apparently he rear-ended this guy rear-ended the younger guy. And the younger guy got out of the car, and now what they would like you to believe on Facebook is went back to talk to this man here. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime you jump out of a car, especially when you've been hit, my guess is he was going to kick his ass. That would be my guess. That would be my guess. He went back there, probably threatened him. I don't know. All I can tell you is, and some of these people are right. I was just looking through some of these comments and stuff. Yeah, this was good. Martha says, look at all the Facebook lawyers and Facebook detectives crawling out of the woodwork. That's true. This another one says, the question is, did Sherman get out of his car and walk towards the other person's car threatening, or did he punch the window, or did he do anything after that to provoke the other person to shoot him? That is the question. Now I have a question: does man, some of these people in their English, I swear to God. Now I have a question: does Missouri have to stand your ground law, and if so, would this be such a case? Look, I don't know. Stand your ground law. I think Missouri has it. I also know they recognize the Castle Doctrine. Now they've charged this guy. McCullough charged this guy. Now, does that mean that this is going to stick? Not necessarily. But I don't know what took place there, and maybe in the coming weeks we will know. But I just want to give everybody a piece of advice. Road rage, if you're involved in a road rage incident, don't get out and go up to the other car. Don't do that. especially if you're mad. If you're upset, and I know this Winghaven, that exit when everything works good is a mess. When they're doing highway work on 40 or 64, it can be a damn clusterfuck. I know exactly what they're talking about, and they are doing work there. So everybody was probably hot. It's taking hours to get home. This guy gets rear-ended, and he's got a history of being a hothead. He gets out of the car. What do you think happened? Let me know if you want to down in the comments. What do you think happened? I know that if I was involved in something like that, staying in the car is probably not a bad idea, unless you both get out and you're both cool and calm and collected, and you can trade insurance information, that kind of thing. My guess is this guy stormed back there, started calling him all kinds of names, saying he was going to kill his ass. That would be my guess. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but in Missouri, it's probably not a good idea. That'd be like breaking into a home in Texas. Okay. Because if I'm a robber in Texas and I'm going to break in somewhere, there's a possibility that there may be a 12 gauge shotgun on the other side of this this door. Same thing here. You start something with somebody like that, you have no idea. This guy might be armed. He may be crazy. I'm not saying he's not, but he's got no record of it. So is he threatened? Did this guy say, I'm going to kill you? And all I can tell you is if that is the case, then I hope this guy, when the police got, and he didn't run. He sat there and waited until the police got there. Does that sound like somebody that was doing something like that? He didn't run. And I hope when the police did get there, I hope the first words were out of his mouth were, I was in fear for my life. I hope that's what he said. Because if he was, that's going to help in the long run. I mean, his life is pretty much over at this point. It really is for both of them. Obviously, the one got shot, his life's over. And that's, and then Facebook. Oh man, God bless them. These people on Facebook who have absolutely nothing more to do than comment. It really is kind of sad. They have nothing more to do than comment on something they have no idea. It's just their opinion. I think the bad guy is this guy, or the bad guy is that guy. And this guy had 2 children at home, and it's a horrible thing that he got killed. Well, it's also a horrible thing that he pulled some shit like this and probably threatened this guy. His kids didn't have anything to do with that. This is all a mess. But the point of this whole story is this. Number one, nothing on Facebook is real, and everybody who comments on there is completely full of it. They know nothing. Yeah, I mean, you have an earthquake down in Venezuela. Suddenly, there's tons of people on Facebook who are experts in seismic activity. It's incredible how smart these people are all of a sudden. Where you been all my life? Your English sucks, but you know what caused this earthquake. I mean, it's beyond anything I've ever seen. If Facebook did anything, it was just show the world how kind of stupid most people are. It really did. It really did. Because you're telling me that you thought it was a good idea to comment. I had one the other night. It said it was a woman, and she said it was down in the list of comments. I could probably find it if I looked it up. But she said, I passed there twice yesterday. That was her comment. This exit. I passed this exit twice yesterday. You thought that was a good idea to jump into the conversation and just let everybody know you came by there twice yesterday. No one cares. No one cares about that. No one cares your opinion either. This will all be settled in court. McCullough, I mean, he's going after this guy, it looks like. But there's a possibility in a month from now, this whole thing's going to be dropped because new evidence will show up. There was a passenger in one of the cars, and there were people surrounding this that saw the whole thing. Did he get shot once? Did he shoot more than once? I don't know. Did this guy try to break into his car? Did he reach into the car to get the guy? I have no idea. So I'm not going to make a call on this. All I know is you got to be careful when you approach a vehicle, especially if you're pissed. especially if something happened. Imagine what police officers go through on a daily basis when they pull somebody over. They have no idea what's in this car. They have no idea. Same thing here. You have no idea, and you're not getting paid for it. So why would you approach a car like this, especially after an accident? I don't think it's the smartest move in the world. This guy could blow you away. He could have drove off. They'd never found him. Who knows? And you're still dead. Doesn't make any sense at all. The world has turned wild, folks. Nobody pays attention when they're driving anymore. I had a friend, I was talking to him the other night, veteran truck driver. He said, Damon, it's gotten so bad out here on the streets. He said, and he drives from from St. Louis to Kansas City every night. This is at night. I can imagine what it's like during the day. He said it's the worst he's ever seen it. He said it's not just the cars and the trucks, it's the big trucks. He said, apparently there's no training going on. They're hiring anybody that, with a pulse. Everybody's upset. They cut you off. They have no skills whatsoever. I don't know. I agree with him. I stay off the highway at all costs. At all costs. I'll take a service road. Yeah, I know. I sound like an old guy, but I used to drive all the time. That is a conscious choice. It's not that I can't do it. It's not that I'm scared to do it. It's I don't want the interaction with people on the highway. So, bottom line, do not, under any circumstances, approach a car if it's a situation, a hot situation. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. And whatever you do, don't try and beat anybody up. Don't think that that's going to solve the fact that a guy cut you off. Just move on. Move on with your life. Because if you don't, you may not have one. Okay? All right. That's all I got. Hey, what I did want to say is do me a favor and like this video. Would you please? Like this and subscribe. And if you can, share it with somebody else. It would help me a lot. And I'd appreciate it. Okay? And remember, my new mantra, my new catchphrase is, hey, everybody's entitled to my opinion. Remember that. Have a good day. Peace out.